Welcome to my channel. Tonight, I invite you to rest your thoughts, slow your breathing, and let your imagination drift far, far back in time. Together, we will wander into the silent ruins of history, where once great empires thrived with power, beauty, and brilliance, only to vanish into the dust. Crescent Moon, picture this for a moment. A grand city glowing with golden rooftops, its harbors filled with ships carrying treasures from across the seas. Voices echo in bustling marketplaces, torches light the night sky, and kings command armies that seem unstoppable. But then, as if swallowed by shadows, the empire is gone. Its name survives only in faint stories, its stones broken and scattered, its people forgotten. These are the lost empires of history. And tonight we will bring them back, gently, softly, like flickering candle flames illuminating the dark. So lie back, close your eyes if you wish, and let your mind travel. Our journey begins on the shores of the Mediterranean Sea, in a place once called Carthage. Globe showing Europe, Africa, the Empire of Carthage. Long before Rome was the master of the world, Carthage was the jewel of the Mediterranean. Founded by seafaring traders from Phoenicia, Carthage stood proudly on the coast of North Africa, near present-day Tunisia. It was more than a city, it was a vision of power. Tall walls surrounded its heart, markets overflowed with goods from every corner of the known world, and the harbor was a wonder of ancient engineering. Carthaginian ships carried gold, silver, ivory, and exotic animals. But Carthage was not only rich, it was fierce. Its generals were brilliant, its navy unmatched, and its warriors loyal. None shone brighter than Hannibal Barca, the legendary commander who led an army, complete with elephants, across the Alps to strike fear into the Roman Republic itself. Imagine the sight. Elephants trudging through snow, soldiers wrapped in furs, icy winds biting their skin. Against impossible odds, Hannibal brought Rome to its knees in battle after battle. For a moment, it seemed as though Carthage might truly eclipse Rome. But Rome was relentless. The wars between them, the Punic Wars, lasted for decades. They drained both empires of strength, but Carthage suffered most. When the final war came, Rome resolved to erase Carthage from the earth. The ancient historians tell us that when Roman legions entered Carthage, they burned it to the ground. Some say they sowed salt into its soil so that nothing would grow there again. The bustling harbors fell silent. The golden rooftops turned to ash. The voices of merchants and sailors faded into memory. Today, what remains of Carthage are ruins, scattered stones by the sea, fragments of walls, broken amphitheaters. Yet, if you walk there at dusk with the wind carrying the scent of the sea, you can almost hear echoes, footsteps on cobbled streets, sails snapping in the breeze, and the distant roar of crowds cheering for Hannibal. Carthage may be gone, but it still whispers through time, reminding us how fragile even the greatest powers can be. Milky Way drifting onward. As we leave Carthage behind, our journey carries us further back, into lands of mystery where civilizations rose not just in power, but in secrecy. Our next destination lies in the rugged hills of Anatolia, where a mighty empire ruled for centuries before it too vanished into the dust of time. This was the Empire of the Hittites, a people whose memory was almost lost to history until archaeologists uncovered their stone cities, buried beneath the earth. We continue our gentle journey, leaving behind the ashes of Carthage and sailing eastward, where the mountains of Anatolia rise against the horizon. Here, thousands of years ago, long before the glory of Rome or Greece, there flourished a powerful yet mysterious empire. An empire that nearly disappeared from memory, the Hittites. For centuries, their story was hidden. Unlike Egypt with its towering pyramids, or Mesopotamia with its grand ziggurats, the Hittites left behind ruins that were buried beneath earth and silence. To later historians, they seemed like a shadow mentioned in passing, a forgotten people. And yet, when archaeologists uncovered their world, the truth emerged. The Hittites were once one of the most formidable powers of the ancient Near East. Classical building, the rise of the Hittites. Imagine the land of Anatolia, where rugged hills cradle fertile valleys. Here, in the heart of what is now Turkey, the Hittites built their capital at Hattusa. The city was a marvel, surrounded by thick stone walls stretching for miles, studded with gates carved with lions and warriors. The Hittites were masters of iron. At a time when most civilizations worked with bronze, the Hittites forged weapons of iron, sharper, stronger, and deadlier. This gave their armies an edge that few could resist. With iron swords and chariots, they carved out an empire that stretched from Anatolia into Syria and beyond. Their kings claimed divine authority, calling themselves beloved of the storm god. Their scribes wrote in cuneiform, recording treaties, laws, and prayers on clay tablets that survived thousands of years beneath the soil. Crossed swords clash with Egypt. Perhaps the most famous moment in Hittite history came at the Battle of Kadesh, around 1274 BCE. It was here that the Hittites faced off against the mighty pharaoh Ramesses II of Egypt. Picture the scene. Two great armies, tens of thousands of soldiers, clashing on the plains near the Orontes River. Dust rising, chariots thundering, arrows darkening the sky. For hours the battle raged, neither side willing to yield. In the end, neither Egypt nor the Hittites claimed a decisive victory. But something remarkable happened. Rather than continuing endless war, the two empires forged what is considered the world's first known peace treaty. Written on clay, sealed with divine oaths, this treaty declared peace between the two powers, a testament to diplomacy in a violent age. New Moon the fall into silence. But power never lasts forever. Around 1200 BCE, a wave of destruction swept across the Mediterranean world. Scholars call it the Age of the Sea Peoples, when unknown raiders struck city after city, leaving ruins in their wake. The Hittites were not spared. Hattusa was burned. The once mighty walls crumbled. Records ceased, and the empire that had rivaled Egypt and Babylon vanished almost overnight. For centuries, their name was forgotten, their cities buried. Only whispers remained, faint mentions in Egyptian inscriptions, until the late 19th century, when explorers uncovered the ruins of Hattusa. There, carved lions still guarded the gates. Clay tablets, hardened by fire, told stories of kings and gods. And slowly, the Hittites emerged from the shadows of history, reminding us that even forgotten empires once burned brightly. Milky Way, a gentle reflection. As we leave the Hittites behind, their ruins fading like candlelight in the distance, we are reminded of the fragility of human achievement. Empires rise with iron and stone, but in time, even the strongest walls fall silent. From Carthage to the Hittites, history whispers to us of ambition, triumph, and loss. And now, our path carries us further east, into lands where jungle roots entwine ancient stones, and temples rise like mountains in the mist. Ahead lies the story of the Khmer Empire, builders of the great city of Angkor, where gods and kings seem to walk hand in hand. Our journey drifts onward, across deserts and seas, until we reach the lush jungles of Southeast Asia. Here, shrouded in mist and greenery, lie the silent remains of one of the most extraordinary empires the world has ever known, the Khmer Empire. If you close your eyes, you can almost hear it. The chanting of monks, the clatter of wooden wheels on stone paths, the trickle of water flowing through vast canals, and above it all, the towers of Angkor rising like mountains carved by human hands. This was not just an empire. It was a world of wonder, built with such vision that even today, its ruins inspire awe. The birth of Angkor. The Khmer Empire rose around the 9th century CE, in what is now Cambodia. At its heart was a king named Jayavarman II, who declared himself a universal monarch, a ruler blessed by the gods themselves. From that moment, the Khmer began to build, not just palaces and roads, but entire cities of stone, designed to reflect the heavens on earth. Their capital, Angkor, became one of the largest urban centers in the ancient world. Vast reservoirs called barays captured the flow of rivers, feeding crops and sustaining millions of people. Temples rose with exquisite carvings of gods, demons, and dancers, telling stories from Hindu epics and Buddhist sutras. And then, of course, there was Angkor Wat. Japanese Castle Angkor Wat, a temple for the ages. Built in the early 12th century under King Suryavarman II, Angkor Wat was not simply a temple. It was a cosmic map, a reflection of the universe itself. Its central towers symbolized Mount Meru, the mythical home of the gods. Its moats mirrored the cosmic oceans. Its walls stretched for miles, covered with intricate carvings that depicted battles, celestial beings, and the endless dance of creation and destruction. Even today, when the sun rises behind Angkor Wat, painting its towers in gold, it feels like stepping into another world. Travelers from across the earth are drawn to it, just as pilgrims once were nearly 1,000 years ago. Crossed swords the empire in its glory. At its height, the Khmer Empire stretched across much of modern Cambodia, Thailand, Laos, and Vietnam. Its rulers commanded vast armies, controlled trade routes, and presided over a society of farmers, artisans, priests, and scholars. Life in Angkor must have been vibrant. Markets overflowing with rice, spices, and silks. Dancers performing before kings, their movements echoing the rhythms of eternity. Scholars studying the stars, seeking to align temples with the heavens. The Khmer kings saw themselves as divine rulers, bridges between gods and men. Through their vision, jungle was transformed into stone, and stone into sacred beauty. New Moon the fall into silence. But, as with Carthage and the Hittites, the glory of the Khmer could not last forever. By the 15th century, the empire began to weaken. Some say it was endless wars with neighboring kingdoms. Others point to the breakdown of the vast water systems that fed the city. Still others whisper of changing faith, as the empire shifted from Hinduism to Buddhism, altering its sacred foundations. Eventually Angkor was abandoned. The jungle crept in, vines crawling over stone, roots splitting walls, towers swallowed by green. For centuries, the great city lay hidden. Travelers spoke of a lost city in the forest, a place of temples overtaken by trees. When explorers finally rediscovered Angkor in the 19th century, they were stunned. How could such vast beauty have been forgotten? Today, Angkor stands as both ruin and reminder. Its stones are worn, its carvings weathered, but its spirit remains eternal. In silence, it speaks of a people who dreamed so grandly that even the jungle could not erase their vision. Milky Way, a gentle reflection. As we leave Angkor behind, the sound of the jungle fading, we carry with us the lesson of the Khmer, that human creativity can rival the heavens, but time is always patient, waiting to reclaim what we build. From the ashes of Carthage to the iron strength of the Hittites, and now the sacred stones of the Khmer, our journey through the lost empires continues. Ahead lies a land older still, the mysterious Indus Valley civilization, where an ancient people thrived with order, art, and urban brilliance, only to vanish into obscurity. Our path now drifts eastward, across deserts and rivers, until we reach the vast plains of South Asia. Here, long before Rome, long before even the pyramids of Egypt reached their full height, there existed a civilization so advanced, so orderly, and yet so mysterious, that it still leaves scholars puzzled today. This was the Indus Valley Civilization, also known as the Harappan Civilization. It flourished nearly 5,000 years ago, around 2600 BCE, stretching across what is now Pakistan and northwest India. Close your eyes and imagine the scene: wide, straight streets laid out in perfect grids. Houses built from baked brick, sturdy and uniform. Wells in every neighborhood, drains that carried away water, and even public baths for the people. While much of the ancient world struggled with survival, the Indus Valley thrived with order and cleanliness. Classical building the cities of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. The Indus people were city builders unlike any the world had ever seen. Their great cities, Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, were marvels of urban planning. Streets ran straight, intersecting like a checkerboard. Homes were built with care, some even with 2 stories. Sophisticated drainage systems carried waste away, something many later empires could not match. Granaries stored food to feed thousands. And at Mohenjo-daro stood the Great Bath, a massive public water tank, perhaps used for rituals of cleansing. This was a civilization that valued not only survival, but dignity, order, and community. Shopping bags life in the Indus. What was life like here? Archaeologists have uncovered delicate jewelry made of carnelian and gold, clay figurines of animals and people, and seals carved with mysterious symbols. Perhaps the earliest form of writing in South Asia. Merchants traded with Mesopotamia, carrying cotton, beads, and spices. Farmers grew wheat and barley in the fertile floodplains. Craftsmen shaped pottery with intricate designs. And yet, unlike other civilizations, there is little sign of kings, armies, or grand palaces. The Indus Valley seems to have been a society built not on conquest, but on cooperation. It was orderly, peaceful, and astonishingly advanced for its time. New Moon, the mystery of their fall. But then silence. Around 1900 BCE, the great cities began to decline. Streets were abandoned, wells ran dry, and the once thriving society slowly faded away. Why did this happen? Historians still debate. Some say it was shifting rivers that changed the landscape, leaving the cities without water. Others believe climate change brought droughts that made farming impossible. Still others suggest invasions or migrations of new peoples disrupted the old order. The truth may be a combination of many forces. But what makes the Indus Valley so mysterious is that we still cannot read their script. Their seals, with rows of tiny symbols, remain undeciphered. Their voices, their names, their stories, locked away in silence. Derelict House, the ruins today. Walk today among the ruins of Mohenjo-daro, and you will see the remnants of streets and homes, bricks that once formed a living, breathing city. Stand by the Great Bath, and you may wonder about the ceremonies once held there.
It is haunting to realize a society so advanced, so carefully designed, could disappear so completely. The people who lived here left no tales of kings, no epic monuments to themselves. Only quiet ruins, still holding their secrets. Milky Way, a gentle reflection. The Indus Valley reminds us that not all greatness is carved in stone monuments or shouted through conquest. Some empires leave their mark through quiet dignity, through the everyday lives of their people. And though we may never fully know their words, the order of their cities, the beauty of their craft, and the silence of their ruins continue to speak across millennia. From Carthage's fiery fall, to the iron power of the Hittites, to the divine towers of Angkor, and now the silent streets of the Indus, we see how every empire, no matter how advanced, must one day give way to time. But our journey is not yet over. Ahead lies the deep jungles of Central America, where towering pyramids rise, and a people known as the Maya built a civilization of stars, numbers, and gods, before vanishing into mystery. Our journey now carries us across oceans, to the thick green jungles of Central America. Here, hidden beneath vines and towering trees, rise the stone pyramids of a people who gazed at the stars, who measured time with stunning precision, and who built cities that still leave us in awe. This was the world of the Maya civilization. From around 2000 BCE until their peak in the Classic period, 250 to 900 CE. The Maya created one of the most remarkable cultures in the Americas. Their legacy lingers in ruined temples, mysterious glyphs, and in the people of modern Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, and Honduras, who still carry the threads of their heritage. Close your eyes and imagine standing at the foot of a Maya pyramid at dawn. The jungle hums with life. Birds call from the canopy. Slowly, the first rays of sunlight touch the carved stones, and you realize the temple itself is aligned perfectly with the rising sun, as if the builders captured the rhythm of the heavens. Classical building, the cities of the Maya. The Maya were master builders. They raised cities like Tikal, Palenque, Copan, and Chichen Itza, each with towering pyramids, palaces, plazas, and ball courts. Their temples stretched skyward, layered with terraces and staircases, decorated with carvings of gods, serpents, and kings. At Chichen Itza, the Great Pyramid of El Castillo was built as a giant calendar. On the spring and autumn equinox, sunlight strikes the steps in such a way that it creates the illusion of a serpent slithering down the pyramid's side, a tribute to the feathered serpent god, Kukulkan. For the Maya, architecture was not just stone. It was astronomy, religion, and time woven together. Milky Way, the keepers of time. More than anything, the Maya were keepers of time. They studied the stars and created calendars of breathtaking accuracy. The Hob calendar tracked the solar year with 365 days. The Tzolk'in calendar followed a sacred 260-day cycle. Together, these cycles created the calendar round, repeating every 52 years. And beyond them lay the long count calendar, which stretched for thousands of years, recording history itself. The Maya did not see time as a straight line. To them, time was a cycle, endless, repeating, a wheel that turned with the cosmos. Every date carried meaning. Every ritual was aligned with celestial patterns. It is no wonder that centuries later, their calendar still fascinates us, sparking myths about the end of the world in 2012. But for the Maya, it was never about endings. It was about cycles, renewal, and the eternal dance of creation. Crossroads, life and society. The Maya world was not only temples and calendars. It was a living civilization of farmers, artisans, and rulers. Farmers grew maize, beans, squash, and cacao, the sacred chocolate bean. Artisans crafted jade masks, painted pottery, and intricate textiles. Priests performed rituals, offering incense, blood, and prayers to the gods. Kings ruled as divine intermediaries, their names carved into stele, their images preserved in glyphs. The Maya also played the ball game, a ritual sport where players struck a heavy rubber ball using only their hips. The game was more than play. It was a ceremony, symbolizing the cosmic struggle between light and darkness. New Moon, the mysterious collapse. And then, like so many empires before them, the Maya cities began to fall silent. By the 9th century CE, many of the great cities in the southern lowlands, like Tikal and Copan, were abandoned. Temples were left unfinished, plazas overgrown, and stone glyphs crumbled in the rain. Why did this happen? Scholars suggest many reasons. Prolonged droughts that strained crops and water supplies. Overpopulation that exhausted the land. Endless wars between city-states. Or perhaps political and social upheavals that fractured their world. Whatever the cause, the Maya collapse was not sudden but gradual, a fading of light. Yet, it was not the end of the Maya people. Their descendants still live across Central America, speaking Maya languages, preserving traditions, and carrying forward the legacy of their ancestors. Milky Way, a gentle closing. As we leave the pyramids behind, swallowed by jungle once more, we reflect on what we have seen. The ashes of Carthage, erased by Rome but still whispering by the sea. The iron might of the Hittites, forgotten until stone lions and clay tablets told their story again. The sacred towers of the Khmer, where gods seemed to walk among men. The ordered streets of the Indus Valley, peaceful and silent, holding secrets we still cannot read. And the stargazing world of the Maya, whose cities rose and fell, yet whose spirit endures. Each of these empires rose in brilliance. Each left a mark upon the world. And each, in its own time, gave way to silence. History reminds us that all things, great and small, powerful and fragile, are part of the endless cycle of time. Empires may fall, but their echoes linger, carried in stone, in story, and in the quiet breath of the night. So, as you drift toward sleep, let these lost empires keep you company. Let their whispers guide your dreams, reminding you that even in endings, there is beauty, and even in silence, there is memory. Good night, and may your journey through history be soft, gentle, and filled with wonder.